Back to Exploring AWS. In this video, we're going to look at Amazon's RDS services, or relational database services. Now, essentially, there's a couple of different ways that you can actually use or run database services within AWS. I like RDS. It's really easy. It's simple. It's extremely scalable, and it is cost efficient. So, if you're looking to run, something simple like just a simple developer database, you can do it. If you actually want, more enterprise level database structure, you can use RDS as well. And when I say enterprise, I mean, if you wanted something like, you have a primary database, we'll just say database 1, and then you want database 2, and you want these in 2 different regions, and you want these, availability zones, and, we'll say this is 1 and this is 2. And you want these guys replicated, you can easily do that with RDS. It's actually a really scalable solution, and you really don't have to worry about anything as far as the infrastructure, because this is going to be considered platform as a service, or PaaS for short. Now RDS, I'm just going to scroll down here. RDS is pretty flexible when it comes to the database engines that you can run. So you can see here that you have a pretty good amount of databases that you can actually use. So, if you're going to do something in Linux, you can use MySQL, MariaDB. You can actually light up a full SQL Server instance if you want to. So it is a really good and automated database service that you can use. Now, I'm going to go into my AWS console because I want to show you guys just essentially how to turn this on. Again, it's super, super simple. I use RDS for a lot of my demos and stuff, at Cisco, whenever I'm going to go ahead and light up an application and do a demo in the cloud. I like to use RDS. It's, again, super, super simple. So we're going to say create a database. We're going to go right over to RDS. We'll just say create database. And this is where we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick either standard or easy. Now, easy create is going to go ahead and fill in a lot of the blanks for us. So we're not going to have as many options if we do easy create, because, Amazon's going to just go ahead and take the wheel and going to go ahead and make sure that we just have a bunch of options already pre-selected for us. If we do a standard create, we'll have all the configuration options. You can see here that we're going to have all the configurations options open to us, where we can deal with security, backups, maintenance, whereas the easy create is just going to go ahead and give us best practices. Now, this part I really should not have to spend any time explaining to you. You should just be able to go in and say, okay, I'm going to do a Microsoft SQL database or MariaDB, MySQL, whatever makes you happy. You can pick the version. So if you're deploying code that is specific to a certain version of database, you can do that. If I check MySQL, I have, not only do I have the different versions of, not MySQL, Microsoft SQL. Not only do I have the different versions, but I also have the different platforms as well. I could do it on Express, Web Edition, etc. So again, it is really, really simple, and I don't have to worry about really doing anything. Now, here's where you want to pay attention. I'm going to be straight up, I'm going to be 100% honest. You want to pay attention to this. By default, you're going to see that it's a production instance. You're going to pay for this, okay? The dev test, you're also going to pay for. It used to be back in the day that you didn't have to pay for dev test, but I think in the newer versions of AWS, you do have to pay for dev test as well. The only one you don't have to pay for is, you guessed it, the free tier, which we'll go ahead and use that one just for kicks. So we'll go ahead and type the free tier. I'm going to leave all this as the default. I'm not going to change anything, but you're going to have your database identifier. You're going to have your admin, ID and password. This is what's going to allow you to connect to that database. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to pick the different tier that you may have or you may want. Now, I selected the free tier, so the free tier is not going to let me choose any other of these options. But if I scroll back up here and I go to dev test, and I come back down, you're going to see that there are more options that I can select. So again, I'm not worried about the backend infrastructure. I'm not worried about the network throughput. I can choose whatever I want to choose, and Amazon will basically take care of the rest. So it is really cool that I don't have to worry about anything. So again, we'll pick free tier. We'll leave all these the default. Storage options, you have a couple, but again, I'm not going to worry about any of this. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll down. We may want to pick the right VPC. So if you have a WordPress VPC, or if you have, this is the security groups. If you have a certain security group, you may want to pick that particular one. You may not have a preference of your availability zone, but again, when you think about a production database where you're going to have replication, you will be able to pick which availability zone you want your primary and which one you want your secondary. So you are going to have the option of having a replicated database. Additional configurations, if you wanted a specific database name, you wanted an initial database when you spin something up, you could do that. Once you're all done and you have all the fields filled out, create password. So we'll say AWS 123 and AWS 123. Must be 8 characters. Bummer. Okay. AWS 1234566. Is that 8 characters? I don't know. AWS 1234567 AWS 1234567 Passwords do not match. Of course they don't. There we go. So we'll go down here. We'll say create database. And we'll count 3. 1, 2, 3. And so now my database is creating. So if I go and I click on the database, it will tell me essentially what subnets are allowed to see the database. It'll tell me what security groups, I'm in. If I go to configuration, it'll tell me a little bit about that database. So it'll tell me, kind of what the admin ID is. If I'm going to connect to my database, so, I have EC2 instances or I have anything that essentially wants to connect to it, I can go ahead and I can use this name down here if I want to connect to it. That's actually what I have in my production AWS account. So again, like I said already, this is probably the 4th time I'm going to say it. It really is just super simple to set up the RDS database services to be able to have an available database for your EC2 instances.